What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to No Filter Chels with your boy Jason. So in this video today, we're going to be going over the preview for Fulham versus Chelsea, which takes place tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. West Coast time, 7:30 p.m. UK time, and it should be a game that should be a little bit more difficult than the Man City game, given the result that we picked up at the Etihad Stadium and the manner in which we picked it up too. The Fulham game was always going to be a bit more tricky than the Man City game. And with that, we also got the appointment of Liam Rosenior finally putting pen to paper, being the new head coach, not the manager, the head coach, because football clubs don't appoint managers anymore because the people up top want the full control along with the sporting directors. So we will also get into his 6.5 year contract and why I believe that's a little bit too long for a guy that has no Premier League experience, along with the same mistakes that this ownership seems to continue to make when they're bringing in new head coaches by giving them more than a 3 or 4 year contract like Enzo Maresca, like Graham Potter. I don't remember if Pochettino had a 6 year contract. I think it was like an 18-month to a 3 year contract, but he was out within one season. So if you like these kind of videos, you like talking about soccer, sports, anything like that, drop a like, sub, bell notifications, turn those on, get engaged in the comment section. Let me know your guys' lineups for tomorrow against Fulham and your guys' thoughts on Liam Rosenior being the new head coach of Chelsea Football Club. So with that, we will get into that part first before I get into the full preview of Fulham versus Chelsea. So we wake up on this Tuesday morning and we see the news that Liam Rosenior is now the new head coach of Chelsea Football Club. First of all, welcome to the club, bro. I'm pulling for you as being half black, half African American myself. It's always good seeing a head coach or a manager of color get appointed to a big job like this because you don't typically see black managers in this sport. You usually see them as assistants, you usually see them as, you know, coaches on the sides that are helping out the head coach or the manager or whatever you want to call these people nowadays, right? And to be the first black British head coach of this great club that is being destroyed inside and out by Blueco, I believe that this fan base, I mean, yes, we do need to back them, but an interesting quote I saw yesterday from a YouTuber was that when is enough enough? When is there where is the line drawn, right? And to give him a 6.5 year contract is not only crazy, but it's like, are we just not learning from past mistakes and giving these head coaches or managers 5 or 6 year deals and then they're out within the same season or they're out within less than 2 years? I just feel like this is one of those moments where we have to try to understand that he does have a pass for this half of the season, but then he has a full preseason plus a full season before him to build what he needs, get what he needs, and get these players on side. Because the most important part here isn't necessarily the fan base, because the fan base don't have an issue, in my opinion, with the managers. It's with Blueco itself. And I'm not going to get too deep into Blueco because that's a whole nother video that I can do. But to give a brief, short summary here, Blueco needs to figure out what they're actually trying to do with their project or their model. They come out with some type of quote earlier about the idea of what they're trying to do with this project, continuously bringing in youth, be a pipeline for players to have their careers, have Chelsea on their CV, and then resell them for more than what they bought. And in my opinion, it's more or less when you're bringing in a new manager, he's gonna want his own players. He's gonna want his signings. And if this ownership and the board are not going to back Liam Rosenior, then who are they going to back at this point, right? He even asked if there's money to spend in January. If he's in there and he feels like he needs a certain player for the style of play that he has, then I would just give him what he needs. So then we get to the summertime and they're going to be primarily focused on attacking players, which I don't necessarily think we need per se, especially on the wings. But an elite center forward, I feel like is something that he is going to want. We have a mega coming from Strasbourg at the end of this season, but for this club to go to the next level, they need a 25 a season strike goal striker. They need something like that. If they want to be serious about competing for the Premier League, they want to compete for the Champions League, win those domestic cups and even repeat as World Cup champions, they need an elite center forward. Maybe it is a Mega, maybe it is João Pedro, maybe it is a Liam Delap. But in my opinion, it's not going to be any of those three players. If they want to sit here and take it to the next level, win the major honors, and if they really want to make some serious change instead of using player transfers as a way for revenue, I mean, we can't even get a front of shirt sponsor. That should tell you everything you need to know about this ownership. An interesting quote here from the Chelsea hierarchy about why they appointed Rosenior as the head coach. They feel like he is an elite coach with huge potential and can bring continuity and stability to the Chelsea project. What is the project, right? With the added bonus of several pre-existing relationships with the Chelsea leadership and sporting team, Chelsea believe his personality and leadership are a strong fit for the squad with a playing style close to Enzo Maresca that should allow for a smooth transition. His teams play with control, and at Strasbourg, he showed that he can build chemistry on and off the pitch. So, if you're trying to keep the playing style similar to Enzo Maresca, why did we get rid of him in the first place? If you're trying to keep the same tactics as what he was doing, why are we changing managers or head coaches, right? Like why are we changing them? You want to build a smooth transition for these players, but a lot of the players seem like they really wanted to play for Enzo Maresca. Bringing him in, I believe he has a free pass. The players are going to get up and play for him because every team has that new manager bounce. I mentioned it in a few videos ago how this team may not kick on with the new manager bounce, but after the performance against Man City a few days ago, I believe he comes in, not the Charlton game at the weekend because it, you know, we should be going to Charlton on Saturday and beating them to get to the fourth round of the FA Cup. But when we get to Brentford, when we get to Arsenal at the end of February, when we start playing Liverpool again, when we play Man City again, right? When we play Aston Villa again, right? Is he going to have enough time in between those games to really implement his style of play in these players? I hope so, but it's not realistic for a guy to come in after a month or two and immediately have these players playing the way that he wants. It's saying that his style is close to Enzo Maresca's, but it's more or less why did we get rid of him if his style of play is pretty similar, right? Now he likes to emphasize his style of play on the number 10, which means Cole Palmer should be getting more of the ball. He should be able to be more direct and actually be more influential on the game. I keep making the argument that Palmer should be playing off the right so he can cut in and allow Esteval to actually be in the number 10 position to interchange with Palmer because it's going to cause the center backs and the fullbacks fits if those two are consistently interchanging. And that's what I want to see tomorrow. Palmer off the right. I'm giving you a little preview of my lineup here. Palmer off the right, Esteval at the 10. I'm going to continue to put that lineup out until I actually see it because I feel like that lineup will cause every single team up and down the Premier League, Europe, problems, right? So to continue on here more or less about Rossini here before I get into the preview. His appointment means Chelsea's long-term recruitment plans remain unchanged, meaning they're still going to go after young players. They're still going to go after the 16, 17, 18-year-old kids from Africa, South America, Asia, It does not matter. Europe, it does not matter. They're going to go after these young kids with potential and resell them. This is why I hope Esteval does not get sold for a ridiculous price, because at the end of the day, you want to build your team around a player like that, around a Cole Palmer, around players like a Caicedo, like an Enzo, right? But you're going to continuously buy players that are 16, 17, 18 years old that may never see the first team, then it's completely sabotaging what we're trying to do in the present moment, which is salvage European football, which is still winning pieces of silverware this season that are still available. The Champions League, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. The the Premier League is done. There's no chance in hell we're climbing out of a 17-point deficit to catch Arsenal. There's no chance in hell. The only team, in my opinion, that can probably catch them is Man City, but Man City at the weekend were so wasteful, so disappointing, and just not clinical enough against a Chelsea team that was managerless, were down on their knees, heads down, confident shot, and mentally shot, and they still walked out of there with a point. What do I want to see from Liam Rosenior when he walks in? Just calm everything down. Get these players back on board. Let them know that there's still targets that are obtainable this season. Give them something to actually fight for, look forward to. We still have two Champions League games this month, Paphos and Napoli. Win one of those two games, win both games. You don't have to go through the knockout phases or the knockout round playoff phase rather before you get to the actual knockout round. I would like to see this team be in the top eight so they automatically qualify. Is it realistic? I think they beat Paphos and then they draw against Napoli down in Naples, which means that they probably won't be getting that automatic qualifying spot to get into the round of 16. So I'm looking at it like get a high enough seed in the Champions League standings. Make sure you're not playing anybody too extreme in the knockout playoff round. Get to the round of 16, and you never know what could happen. Could he pull off a Thomas Tuchel? Could he pull off a Roberto Di Matteo run in the Champions League? We don't know until we see his first game, probably at the weekend against Charlton, and then later on in the week against Arsenal in the Cup, and then 3 days later against Brentford at the bridge, where the planned protest is supposed to happen for Blue Co out. I want to say this about the protest. I want to see people leave Todd Bowley out of their frustrations. Yes, he should be more involved with the club right now, but his first 18 months at the club, we saw the rashness and the recklessness he had when he was signing all these players to ridiculous wages, ridiculous contracts, and ridiculous transfer fees. But at the end of the day, Todd Bowley, in my opinion, does have the resources and the funds to buy everyone out. And this is where I want him to actually consider buying out everybody at Blueco with Clear Lake and just buy everyone out. Get back in there and bring some type of structure and stability back at the top, because when he was there, yes, he made crazy signings, but he had ambition and he showed that he wanted to win. He wasn't as experienced with knowing which players to grab and understanding the sport of football, but at the same time, he had an idea of what he wanted to do and he wanted to win, and he was ambitious enough to go get these players and bring him in. Yes, the Sterling's was a horrible signing. The Aubameyang was a wasteful signing because it was for Thomas Tuchel, and dude was gone after a week after he was signed. The Mikhailo Mudryk signing is still up in the air because he can come back this month probably and probably get reintegrated back in the squad, or he goes out on loan to a Strasbourg or another European team, comes back for the following season, and he's a much better player. I still have hope that Mudryk will find a way back into this team, because as much as I rate Garnacho, I still think that Mudryk will give us a better chance down the wing, especially with how Rosinha wants to play, holding that width. Having somebody that has the pace to burn like that is something that this club, I think, honestly needs. Pedro Neto is quick, he's speedy, but he's not a Mikhailo Mudryk. He's not the pace burner that he is. Play a ball in behind, nobody's catching him. So with that, I'm praying that Liam Rosenior does well. I really want him to do it. I'm going to back him like I backed Enzo Maresca, but there's going to be a bigger microscope on him because of the job he has to do, the club that he went to, and unfortunately, because, and I hate saying this because I don't want to get accused of, oh, your colorism and all that. Because of the color of his skin, he's going to have that extra level of scrutiny on him, which is unfair. So I hope to God that he does well. He's going back home. He mentioned in his exit press conference with Strasbourg that he's finally able to go home to his wife, to his kids back in England, that he hasn't seen his kids in a while, man. And it's like that's something that I can get behind. You're coming home, you're in familiar settings, you're going to a club that is in desperate need for stability and continuity. Yeah, I feel like this signing long term, if he gets what he needs and he can get these players on board and just focus on the pitch, not worry too much about what's happening upstairs, I feel like he can do a job. I feel like he can actually figure something out here. But it all remains to be seen. It's all speculation on what he's going to do. Do I think he can get us back in the top four race? Yes, we have the squad depth and the quality to do it. It's just a matter of being consistent and beating teams that are below us in the table. I'm not going to call these teams small teams because a lot of people end up doing that stuff and they do air quotes. What we need to start doing is if a team is below us in the table, just say we should be beating teams that are below us in the table. They're below us for a reason. We should be beating them. No longer calling these teams small or anything like that. I find that to be disrespectful. A team that is below us in the table, we should be beating. A team that is above us in the table, we should be competitive enough to give them a game, if not beat them. We could have walked out of there on Sunday with 3 points. But if we were a bit more clinical in that second half, it would have changed everything about this season. Yes, that draw was still good for us. It's a good point for us. Still keeps us 3 points behind a Liverpool, which I saw a tweet earlier about how Arne Slot may end up being gone at the end of the week if results don't turn around. So why wasn't he sacked earlier in the season? He just won the Premier League title also, by the way. But if a guy is losing 7, 8 games out of 10, usually the guy's out of there. Liverpool now have dropped 2 games in a row, points 2 games in a row. I need to pull up who they're actually playing next. I think it's, let me see here. They play tomorrow, I believe. Oh no, I think they play Thursday. Hold on. They actually play Arsenal. So Arsenal, in my opinion, should win that game. But you know, it would not surprise me if there's a draw in that game also. But I'll get into my preview now. We should be pretty close to turning this season around. Hopefully, Fulham, we get 3 points. But with that being said, we will get into the preview, go over team news, my lineups, and what to expect out of this game. So, tomorrow we have an interesting game against Fulham where the reverse fixture, we got out of there with a 2-0 win. And for large parts of that game, we were kind of on the back foot, not really playing up to how we usually play at the bridge, even though at the bridge right now, we're not really knocking down any doors. We're dropping points continuously. We're losing games we should not be losing. And going to Craven Cottage, which ain't too far away from Stamford Bridge, should be almost treating this like the home away from home. We should be going there and getting 3 points, but when we are expected to go somewhere and pick up points, we just don't do it sometimes. So this game will be tougher than the Man City game. It's a derby, the West London derby. Um, you know, Fulham generally at the cottage usually give us a pretty good game. And the ways that we're going to figure out a way to beat this Fulham team right now, they just snatched a late point from Liverpool at Anfield on a crazy wonder goal, by the way. But the way that we're gonna actually beat these guys tomorrow is no silly mistakes in the back, meaning be decisive in where you're going to put the ball. If you need to clear the ball out and not try to play out of the back, just clear it out, get everyone up, reset your defense. That way, we're pushing up on their back line, making them, putting pressure on them to make a decision on the ball. I say that a lot in my videos about defenders and midfielders need to make a decision when the ball is cleared. Anytime that ball is cleared, they have to make a decision. They're not just going to stand there and let the ball bounce in front of them. They have to go up there and challenge it. Sometimes they get the ball and they head it away. There's times where they completely fluff their lines and the ball bounces off their head. It flicks off their head. It bounces by them, or they misread like the fly of the ball and they fall over. Right? Like it's stuff like that where it's like we have to be able to clear the ball out and get everyone up, get our attackers up, get our midfielders up, have Palmer, Esteval, Pedro Neto, Garnacho, João Pedro, Delap, whoever is playing tomorrow, push up on their back line, force them to make a decision quickly. Kind of like in the second half, how when Rodri had the ball, we were snapping at his ankles. Why? Because he is a great midfielder. He's a great passer. He's great at closing down spaces when it needs to be closed down. He's a Ballon d'Or winner for a reason. Yes, you can make the argument that Vinicius Jr. could have won that, but if you're looking at the totality of his game, yes, Rodri did deserve the Ballon d'Or that season, but since that moment, he's been perpetually injured. And we saw Andre Santos come in and snap at his ankles. Fernando, Enzo Fernandez snap at his ankles, right? Because they know the quality he has when he has possession. And quick passes, patterns of play are going to be important here. Not the same patterns of play we saw from Enzo Maresca where it's side to side, have your inverted fullback in there. No, I want to see different patterns of play in and around the box, in the attacking half. Late runs from midfield, right? Crossing the ball into the box early. That's how we got the equalizer against Man City. You put early balls in the box, you make the center backs, the fullbacks, and even the goalkeeper make a decision on the ball because you're not always going to get the correct contact on the ball if you're clearing it. You see Ake going to the ground trying to clear it. You see GG Donnarumma, bro, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, make a spectacular save but can't keep out the second effort from Enzo, right? Because early balls in the box make defenders panic because generally they're not in the right position and they'll either deflect it out for a corner. There's times where they put it towards their own goal and the keeper has to make a save or whatever, right? So I'm thinking early balls into the box, quick passes, being direct, being dynamic enough on the wings and keeping the width, keep their fullbacks pushed back, right? Keep the center backs honest, right? Cole Palmer must get it going. Now that a new head coach, new manager has come in, he's got to get it going because now it's a new breath of fresh air for him. Rosenior likes to emphasize the number 10 position, which is fine. The game against Brentford, I'll really look to see where Palmer is at by then because in this game, I expect him to start. I still expect him to be in the same form. I'm not expecting his play to change whatsoever. If he figures it out tomorrow, that'll be fantastic because then it tells me that maybe it was the Enzo Maresca experience why he sort of tailed off a little bit, but we saw a full season of what he did under Enzo, and it was spectacular. He got into FIFA Pro 11 for a reason. Who was the manager? I rest my case. Moises Caicedo is back. He should be reinserted right back into that lineup alongside Enzo Fernandez. You can make the argument that maybe they play with the midfield three tomorrow, like to have more balance in midfield rather than having an attack heavy lineup. But Moises Caicedo, for me, did not have the best game against, I believe, Bournemouth. And to get that early yellow card, which was never a yellow card 5 minutes into the game, also needs to work on his recklessness, needs to work on the types of challenges he's putting in, the types of tackles he's putting in, because there's times where he gets too charged up, too emotional, and he gets in his own head. And that's the one thing about him that I want him to change is we love the grit, the determination, the emotion, but there's times where you show it and there's times where you don't show it. This is where Liam Delap also does come in. I'm not expecting him to start tomorrow, but his emotions and the way that he carries himself on the pitch is another issue where you're more worried about putting in a crazy tackle rather than actually trying to shoot on goal, score a goal, get your teammates involved. And one last side note here about a Mikhailo Mudryk. If his ban does get lifted, I do want to see him get reintegrated back into the squad. Maybe not right away, but allow him in first team training, let him get his fitness back, and then we slowly bleed him back in. I think if we somehow get him back this season, he might end up being the saving grace for us. Because Gittins isn't going to do it. Garnacho, for me, I rate him, but he's too hot and cold for me. Mikhailo Mudryk, I feel like if you were to bring him back, not only will it feel like a new signing? The man has a point to prove. And I feel like with that point to prove, he's going to show why he was worth that. I think it was like 110 million, 100 million or whatever, 88 million pounds from Shakhtar to Chelsea. I feel like we bring him back. There's an opportunity here that it's a new signing technically. And I just feel like it's an opportunity for us, for him, for us, and just for him to get his confidence back. So to also get into my lineup here, um, so for my lineup here, it's pretty similar to the Man City game, except with the exception of Moises Caicedo is coming back into the squad. Instead of Pedro Neto, I put Garnacho out there on the left. So I got Robert Sanchez, he's right back in goal. Hopefully he's back after the small injury he had. Malo Gusto at left back because Mark Cucurella is back in training, but don't think he's going to be able to start this game. I think it's too quick of a turnaround for him. Wesley Fofana on one side, Trevor Chalobah on the other. Reece James, no question, at right back. Enzo Caicedo in midfield. Garnacho on the left. Esteval, again, I'm going to keep reiterating this. I want to see him in the 10. I want to see him in the 10. Palmer off the right, those two interchange. Those two cause problems down that right flank, giving Anthony Robinson of Fulham and American issues. Give him a problem, have him forced to stay back so he's not bombing up the pitch, right? Because that's what he does. He's a great left wing back, but a decent left back. For him going up and down the pitch is going to be crucial to how we stop this Fulham attack. And João Pedro up top, no other no other player for me right now. Liam Delap maybe 70th minute or so. You can bring him on. If we're up, sure, bring him on. But if we're down 1-0, I'm not taking off a João Pedro. I can't do that because I don't trust that Liam Delap is going to figure out a way to actually put the ball in the back of the net. I can go so far as to say is I don't know if he's going to score a Premier League goal this season. Maybe in the Champions League because he has one already, but I just don't see him right now scoring a goal for us in the Prem. So my lineup right here: Sanchez, Gusto, Wesley, Fofana, Trevor Chalobah, Reece James, Enzo, Caicedo, Garnacho, Esteval, Palmer, João Pedro. Please let me know how you guys feel about that lineup. I feel like it does give us the best chance to pick up 3 points tomorrow. As for my result, score prediction here, you know, we have to build off that second half performance, honestly. The first half was a snooze fest. We gave too much respect to Man City, but I feel like after that second half performance and the mental boost that we got from that, it's not going to be an easy game tomorrow. But I do feel like we have enough quality in the squad and there's enough up there mentally for us to squeak out of there with a 2-1 win. I think we get out of there with 3 points. We win 2-1. I believe, honestly, I think Palmer scores both goals tomorrow. I have a sneaky suspicion that he's going to figure it out tomorrow, and the goals are going to come from open play. I don't think he's going to score off a penalty tomorrow. I think he's had enough of his form, and he's going to figure it out and score 2 goals tomorrow. I think he's going to be the match winner, which he should be the match winner in this squad. So I got Chelsea 2, Fulham 1. Um, and we push on after that. We look forward to Charlton at the weekend. But yeah, I got Chelsea 2-1, man. Please let me know your guys' thoughts on this video. Comment, like, sub, share with your friends. In the next few videos, I will be sharing my social media links to just show you guys everything else about me, all that. So there's more ways to get in contact with me. But yeah, I'm No Filter Chels. I'm Jason. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. These long videos are actually kind of draining on me, so I really do appreciate it if you guys watch it completely through. If you made it this far, I appreciate everybody. Thank you. Peace and love. Up the Chelsea. Let's get these 3 points tomorrow, man.